Cerberus narrations. Because who needs sleep anyway?
I never thought a simple trip to the mall could turn into a nightmare that would haunt me for the rest of my life. It all started innocently enough, a Saturday afternoon, the hustle and bustle of shoppers, and the promise of some retail therapy. Little did I know, I was about to come face to face with a sinister presence that would shatter my sense of safety. As I strolled through the mall, browsing the stores and enjoying the anonymity of the crowd, I noticed him. A man standing near the entrance of a dimly lit store, his features obscured by the shadows. He wore a long coat that seemed out of place in the midday heat, and his eyes, even from a distance, felt like they were drilling into my soul. Trying to shake off the unease, I continued on my way, but no matter where I went, I felt his presence lingering in the corners of my vision. It was as if he was following me, his silent gaze fixed on me, unwavering and unsettling. I told myself it was just my imagination, that I was being paranoid, but the knot in my stomach grew tighter with each passing moment. As I entered a department store, my heart skipped a beat. There he was again, standing near a rack of clothes, his gaze locked onto me. I quickly turned and headed in the opposite direction, my mind racing with a mixture of fear and confusion. I wasn't sure if I was being followed, but the feeling of being watched was inescapable. I tried to lose him in the maze of stores, but he seemed to anticipate my every move. Every time I turned a corner, he was there, lurking like a shadow. Panic gripped me, and I began to question my own sanity. Was this some kind of sick game? Was he deliberately toying with me? As I reached the food court, I sought refuge in the crowd, hoping to blend in and escape his attention. But as I sat down at a table, pretending to enjoy my meal, I saw him once again, seated at a distant corner, his eyes fixed on me like a predator stalking its prey. My appetite vanished, replaced by a suffocating dread that clung to me like a shroud. My instincts screamed at me to get out of there, to flee the mall, and leave the specter of this creepy stranger behind. But I couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't just a random encounter, that there was something more sinister at play. Was he following me, or was I being targeted for some unfathomable reason? Summoning every ounce of courage, I stood up and made my way towards the mall's security office. As I explained my situation to the guard, his expression grew serious, and he assured me that they would investigate. But when we returned to the food court, the stranger was nowhere to be found. The security personnel scoured the mall, reviewing surveillance footage and questioning employees, but the man had vanished without a trace. I left the mall that day, my nerves frayed and my sense of security shattered. The encounter left me haunted by questions. Who was he, and why was he following me? What did he want? To this day, the memory of that chilling encounter lingers in my mind. The unknown intentions of that creepy stranger still haunt me, a constant reminder that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places. And every time I step into a crowded mall, I can't help but wonder if those shadows are watching me once again. I'll never forget the day I stumbled upon that eerie old house at the edge of town, the one that sent shivers down my spine and ignited a sense of unease I couldn't shake. I'm not one to believe in ghosts or the supernatural, but what happened there made me question everything. It was a cool autumn afternoon when I decided to explore the outskirts of town. I had always been drawn to mysterious places, and the stories I'd heard about the abandoned house only fueled my curiosity. Locals whispered that it was cursed, that anyone who entered its decaying walls never returned the same. I scoffed at the tales, dismissing them as the product of overactive imaginations. As I approached the house, a heavy silence enveloped the area, broken only by the soft rustling of leaves in the breeze. Its windows were shattered, its roof sagging, and the paint on its once grand facade was peeling. With each creak of the front porch beneath my feet, I felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Pushing open the front door, a musty odor assaulted my senses, mingling with the faint scent of decay. The air was thick with an unsettling energy, and I hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. The dim light filtering through the broken windows cast long shadows on the walls, creating a dance of darkness that seemed to have a life of its own. I explored room after room, my footsteps echoing eerily in the empty space. The walls were adorned with faded wallpaper, and remnants of furniture lay scattered like forgotten memories. A broken mirror caught my attention, its reflective surface warped and tarnished. As I stared into it, I saw a fleeting glimpse of a figure behind me, a silhouette that disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. My heart raced, but I told myself it was a trick of the light. Moving deeper into the house, I found a narrow staircase leading to the upper floor. Each step creaked beneath my weight, as if the house itself protested my presence. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of invisible eyes following my every move. At the top of the stairs, a long corridor stretched before me, lined with closed doors. My pulse quickened as I reached for the nearest doorknob and turned it slowly. The door opened to reveal a room bathed in an ethereal glow, the source of which I couldn't discern. The walls were covered in faded paintings, their subjects frozen in time with enigmatic expressions. Among them, one stood out, a portrait of a woman with piercing eyes that seemed to follow me no matter where I stood. As I studied the painting, I realized that the woman bore a striking resemblance to the figure I had seen in the mirror earlier. Unsettled, I turned to leave the room, but a whisper brushed against my ear, chilling me to the bone. "Stay," it hissed, the voice barely audible, yet carrying a weight of sorrow and desperation. I spun around, my heart racing, only to find the room empty. The walls seemed to press in on me, and I stumbled out of the room, my breath ragged. I knew I had to leave, that I had overstayed my welcome in this house of whispers and shadows. As I descended the stairs, a cold breeze swept through the hallway, extinguishing the flickering candles that lined the walls. The house groaned and creaked around me, its very structure seemingly alive with a malevolent energy. My steps quickened, each one echoing in the deafening silence. I burst through the front door and stumbled onto the porch, gasping for air as if I had been holding my breath the entire time. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to reach out to me, as if reluctant to let me go. I turned to look at the house one last time, my heart heavy with a mixture of fear and fascination. As I walked away from that place, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had intruded upon a world beyond my understanding. The whispers and shadows had left an indelible mark on my psyche, a reminder that there are forces in this world that defy explanation, and though I told myself it was just a story I could recount to friends, a part of me would always wonder if there was something more to that house, something lurking just beyond the veil of reality. It's funny how you can go through life believing in the safety and predictability of your surroundings. I certainly did, until that one night shattered my sense of normalcy, replacing it with an unshakable terror that I can't escape, no matter how hard I try. It was a typical evening when it all started. I had just finished dinner and settled down on the couch, ready to binge-watch some TV shows to unwind from a long day. The apartment was cozy, familiar, and the soft glow of the lamp cast a warm light that banished the encroaching darkness outside. I never gave a second thought to the sounds that often accompanied a quiet evening, the occasional creak of the old floorboards, or the distant hum of the city. As I lost myself in the world of the show, a shiver danced down my spine. I brushed it off as a draught from the window, which I promptly closed. But that chill never left me. It lingered, as if it had settled deep within my bones, refusing to be ignored. I wrapped a blanket around myself and resumed watching, trying to dispel the growing unease. It was when I paused to get a drink from the kitchen that I heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper that seemed to emanate from the corner of the room. I turned, half expecting to see a television character speaking in hushed tones, but the room was empty. The whisper seemed to be just beyond the threshold of my hearing, impossible to decipher, yet impossible to ignore. My heart raced, but I chalked it up to tired nerves. I returned to the couch, my drink forgotten, and attempted to lose myself in the show again. But the whisper persisted, growing louder this time, like a soft murmur just beyond my hearing range. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples. Dread weighed on me as I ventured into the hallway, the whisper growing more distinct with each step. It was as if the air itself carried an otherworldly message, one that beckoned me to uncover its secrets. I stood before my bedroom door, the source of the sound seemingly just beyond. Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the door, my heart in my throat. The room was bathed in darkness, the only illumination coming from the faint glow of the streetlights outside. And there, at the foot of my bed, I saw it, a shadowy figure, its form indistinct yet unmistakably human. Panic surged through me, and I fumbled for the light switch, bathing the room in harsh fluorescence. But the figure was gone. I stood there, my breath ragged, searching every corner of the room, convinced I had lost my mind. The whisper had transformed into a distant chant, a chorus of voices that seemed to echo from the very walls themselves. Fear and disbelief gripped me, and I stumbled back, collapsing onto the bed. The voices grew louder, the words now discernible, yet spoken in a language I couldn't comprehend. They seemed to seep into my mind, a torrent of gibberish that threatened to drown my sanity. I clamped my hands over my ears, desperate to block out the haunting cacophony. That night was a blur of terror and confusion. I don't know when the voices finally ceased, but when I awoke the next morning, the room was silent. Everything seemed normal, the sun streaming through the window, the birds chirping outside. But the memory of that night's horrors lingered, an invisible scar etched into my consciousness. I've tried to rationalize what happened, to attribute it to stress or exhaustion. But deep down, I know the truth. Something inexplicable invaded my world that night, something beyond comprehension. The whisper, the shadows, the voices, they're all a part of a nightmare that I can't escape. A chilling reminder that there are forces lurking just beneath the surface of reality, waiting to reveal themselves when you least expect it.